All right. So last time we were talking about asymmetric information, cases where somebody knows something and somebody else does not know that thing. And they know that they don't know the thing, but they don't know what it is. We also talked about different ways in which this could lead to real problems in markets where the market can't even operate. Basically, if you know that somebody else knows something that you don't, you also know that they can get one over on you. You might just decide not to engage in areas where you can get taken advantage of because it might not be in your interest to roll those dice. Which means that the market can unravel. You get to a situation where it is impossible to do the good thing because it's simply you can't, or it's not in your interest to do the good thing because anybody not doing it can easily masquerade as you. So why bother? Right? They're going to drive you out of the market. The good version is going to go away. The only version left is going to be the low quality version, which is not really good for anybody. Consumers don't like it because they lose the option to buy the high quality thing. High quality sellers don't like it because they are driven out of the market. The low quality sellers don't even get anything out of it because once everybody realizes that only low quality stuff is left, then there's nothing you can do. Nobody's going to be willing to pay them the high price anyway, and they end up just getting paid what they would have gotten paid if everybody had known everything all along. It's going to happen whenever we have options of different quality, and that quality cannot be observed directly. Even if you have some sort of hint, maybe it's not perfect, right? You can still be fooled pretty easily. And that there's someone with an incentive to misrepresent quality. Anytime you have these three things all happening at once, you're likely to run into a market for lemons problem where the market can unravel. We also briefly poked our heads into the idea of how one way we can solve this, which is with signaling, right? So the way the signaling works is you send a signal about the quality of the good. This has to be something that is costly for you to do, right? You can't just show up and say, hey, I got a high quality thing, because anybody can do that. The idea here is that it has to be something for which makes it more costly to send that signal if it is a lie than if it is telling the truth, right? It has to be more costly to lie than to tell the truth, which makes the people who want to lie figure it's not going to be worth it anymore, and they're going to go home, right? That's the whole key for it. You're making lying not impossible, but expensive enough that nobody's going to bother. That's what we're going for. So let's work through an example of how a signal like this could work. Imagine a market where we have a high quality good and a low quality good, where we can't tell the difference between them as buyers. So the seller knows what they have on their hands, but the buyer does not know. So let's imagine, for example, maybe we have some sort of rare painting. Maybe we have a famous painting, right? But it could be a forgery. And this happens all the time in the art market. You have famous paintings that sell for millions and millions and millions of dollars. However, sometimes they are forged, and it's hard to tell the difference as just a casual art buyer whether you're dealing with the real thing or not. So let's think about what our marginal benefits might be to consuming the higher low quality versions of the good. So let's say we're talking about a real famous painting. We're really going to get a lot of value out of having this thing. Maybe the real one we value at, I don't know, 30 million. But the forgery, it looks the exact same. So, we get the aesthetic qualities from it, but, that's not really what we're buying it for. We're buying it so people can go, ooh, you have a Picasso, right? And so the low quality one, the forgery, that's only going to be worth, let's say, 0.5. Right? So big difference between the high and low quality version in terms of what you get. Now, if nobody can tell the forgeries from the high quality stuff would quickly cease to have any value because no one would be willing to pay $30 million if there's a decent chance that they're going to get a low quality version. Okay, so here's our valuations. If you walk into this market as a buyer, you're thinking you don't know the difference, what would you be willing to pay? Well, somewhere between $500,000 and $30 million. Probably more than $500,000 because there's some chance you're getting the real one. But not $30 million because it's not certain that you're going to get the real one. So you're somewhere in the middle, right? And as the seller, you're not being offered $30 million for this thing that is actually worth $30 million, so you're not going to sell. So the high quality one's never going to sell. The only ones getting sold are the low quality ones. The market has unraveled. And you can be assured that if you try to buy this painting, you're only going to get the low quality version. Department of Math. Okay, so how can we put a signal into place that is going to fix this market? So remember what we need to have. We need to have some conditions. One, it needs to be high quality, wants to signal. It is in their interest to do so. And so the benefits minus costs of signaling must be higher or equal to, I suppose, the benefits minus costs of not signaling. So we need it to be it can't just be anything, right? It can't be super, super costly, because at some point it's not even going to be worth it for the high quality types to prove that we're real. Up to the low quality types. The low quality types does not want to signal. Right, so for them, benefits minus costs of signaling have to be less than the benefits minus costs of not. Let's make the math easier. Let's just say less than or equal. Okay, so we need both of those things to be true in order for this signal to work. So let's bring in an art inspector, right? Let's say there's some art inspector who's really good at detecting forgeries. You can pay them to inspect the painting before you buy it, and they will tell you as the buyer whether it is real or not, right? So there's going to be some cost associated with hiring this art inspector, right? But let's not even say it's as simple as that. It's not even as simple as we hire the art inspector and they tell us the truth. Because, you know, they're human too. If you're holding on to a fake Picasso, maybe you slip a few $1 million the art inspector's way and they'll say it's real even if it's not. Okay, so that's always a possibility. You can't rule that out, right? So, but this can still work. Because all we need to be the case is that this is true and this is true. So let's figure out what these benefits and costs are. So first of all, what are the benefits of signal? If you send a signal and it's a believable signal, that means that we're going to assume that if we see the signal, we know it's high quality. If we don't see the signal, it's not. So the benefits minus cost of signaling, I'm going to rewrite this down here. Okay. So if we do send the signal, we get $30 million for our painting. Okay. So we get $30 million for our painting if we send the signal, and that's going to be true whether we are actually high quality or not. If we send the signal and we're in a Nash equilibrium where the signal makes any sort of sense, and we're going to be believed. So we get $30 million for sending the signal, whether we are actually high quality or not. What are the benefits? So we still have costs. What are the benefits of not sending the signal? If we don't send the signal, that's still okay. Somebody might still be willing to buy a really nice forged Picasso, and they put it on their wall, and they're like, yeah, I know it's not real, but it looks like Picasso. That's kind of neat, isn't it? So if we value the low quality one, the fake, at $500,000, then the benefit from not sending the signal is somebody knows that it's a fake, they'll pay us what the fake is worth, which is $500,000. So the benefits of not sending the signal is $500,000. All right, so far these still look the same. So how are we going to distinguish the two of them? How can we make one of them true and the other one false? How can we make both of them true at the same time? Let's simplify a little bit. Let's say that it's costless not to send the signal, right? We just don't have to do anything to send the signal, to not send the signal. So let's erase these costs over here. So the only thing that's still left to distinguish these two is the cost of sending the signal. So this is the only lever that we really have to make this signal work, is the difference in the costs between the the good types and the bad types. Okay. So we want this to be true. So we know that the costs of signaling for the high types must be less than 29.5 million. Right? You solve this out, you move costs over here and the half over here, you get costs have to be less than 29.5. So if that's too expensive to send it, if it costs the art inspector $50 million to rate your painting, then you'd be like, okay, yeah, I know that that's great, and you know that it's real, but I'm only going to get $30 million for this. I would have paid you more than that. That's not even worth it for me. I'm out. Right? The market still would unravel because I'm not willing to give myself a praise. The cost for the high types has to be less than 29.5 million. But down here, we have the exact same equation, we've just reversed this right here. So the costs of signaling for low types has to be more than 29.5 million. Okay. So it's the same number sort of cutoff here. It's just that we need the different types to be on different sides of that cutoff in terms of what they're going to pay. So in the context of our painting situation, right, we can imagine why these costs might be different. Because remember, if you want the art inspector to lie, you got to bribe them, right? They're not just going to lie for kicks, right? So let's say that it costs, I don't know, $100,000 to hire an art inspector to appraise your Picasso. And that's to get them to tell the truth. If that's the case, with $100,000, then this is true, right? It's only costing $100,000 for the good types to hire the appraiser to get them to say, yeah, this Picasso is real, you're good to go. So for this to also be true, it's going to need to cost a bribe of like $30 million to get them to lie. If they're willing to lie cheaper than that, then this market's going to fall apart. But if it costs $30 million to bribe an art inspector, then hey, then this works, and this works as a signal. So the key here is whether or not the difference in costs is big enough to make it worthwhile for the good types to send the signal, but not worthwhile for the bad types to send the signal. So whatever the hinge is sort of separating the costs for those two, in this case, is the cost of the bribe. That's what we're really looking at. And, you know, there's no real advanced math here. I'm just asking myself, you know, we're going back to day one here. Are the benefits better than the costs, right? And then figure out what the costs need to be in these two different scenarios to make that true in both cases. Just like we asked, why does the kid have their own seat in the car, but not the plane? And we found that the costs were different, two different scenarios. Well, here, why does the high quality send the signal, but the low quality doesn't? Because the costs are different in the two different scenarios. We need that to be true to be able to separate these out. So the key here, again, is that sending the signal is an option for everyone. We want the costs and benefits to be such that the good types want to send it, but the bad types don't want to send it. So if this is true, if the incentives are set up like that, then if you see the signal, you should believe it, right? It is not in anybody's interest to be lying to you at that